Day 1 is complete and we are on to day 2 of Messy May, and the word of the day is nourish. So I am going to get my trusty dictionary out to find the dictionary definition.
Nourish, feed to promote life and growth. Nourishment.
So Get Messy Art are doing like a teacher of the day for each of the topics. I'm filming this actually a day in advance, so I will be honest about that. And so what that means is I'm kind of winging it with these words, and I hope that others are doing the same because I kind of love the spontaneity. But my first thought when I heard nourish was fruit. I guess nourishment, like healthy foods, was what came to mind. And I want to keep my pages cohesive, and so the colors of fruits could be tied into the page on the left. So I've got a lot of green, pink, and yellow on there. So I wanted to try and incorporate some of the similar shades. That's not necessarily something I had to do. I just really like the look of a page, a double spread anyway, when the colors work well together. I literally took watercolors and just laid them on. I ended up writing Nourish Your Soul because that's the first thing that popped into my head. Then I was thinking about the fact that what nourishes my soul is creating. So it works really well with this challenge. I ended up just doing some loose watercolor shapes that I kind of sort of placed in the positioning of a particular fruit, not really thinking too much about it. Obviously the yellow I'm making look like a banana, and some of the reds I made into kind of a strawberry shape, but I didn't make them very specifically one thing because I knew I could go in and define shapes after the fact. So now I'm taking my Posca pen and I'm just sort of going over the top and creating some loose shapes that I basically see in the actual like watercolor markings that look like a strawberry to me. Obviously these little guys can be blueberries. I don't need to do too much detail. It doesn't even need to be accurate. It could be more of an abstract piece. I just felt like this would be kind of fun to define specific fruits, especially as I did the color blocking. I really didn't think too much about what they were. This one obviously is looking like a raspberry to me, so I'm just doing a couple of little dashes there. As I was doing this, I was pretty aware that I hadn't planned out too well where things were, and some things I just really liked and didn't necessarily want to add black to. I think the whole point of this whole challenge for me is very much going with the flow and seeing what comes up for me. It's a very meditative process, to be honest, and wildly relaxing. Just putting color on a page and then sort of trying to make shapes out of it is a great exercise in itself. And then I was like, I need to really define this quote that I've put on, the Nourish Your Soul. I am not a big fan of my handwriting. Brush lettering is not something I have yet conquered. I am unhappy a lot with my writing, but I decided to embrace the ugly lettering and mark it anyway, because I really wanted to be able to see the words. Now, I know that I can always go over these again in different pen, or I could paint over the top. So yeah, my first step was just getting it on. And as I mentioned in the previous video for the first of my spreads, a lot of the time, the first layers, you're not really going to see much of by the end, because I really like to layer and layer and layer. So I'm going to speed you guys up, let you watch my process. If anything comes up, I will do a little voiceover again. But I'm just going to kind of build and go with this mindset of nourishing my soul with fruits and art and creative play. so we're getting somewhere, layer, layer, layer. Really love the addition of the oil pastels. I forget that I have those. These ones are by Art Philosophy as well. They're really vibrant, actually. That's a really great little addition. I've added to the quote with art, so nourish your soul with art. And then I'm just going to kind of outline. I rewrote the yaw, but in white acrylic paint, and I actually kind of like this look more now. It's giving like a childlike quality, honestly, but it seems to work quite well. It's almost feeling pop artish at this point, but I'm just sort of going with it. I'm putting heavy black lines in places. Sometimes I get really put off when I do that, but I actually think it works quite well. I'm redefining certain areas, just allowing the shapes to speak to me. But yeah, again, I'm just building, layering. That's just how I like things. And I know a lot of times people ask me, how do you know when it's done? And that is something I struggle with myself. I often don't know when to stop. And I know a lot of people think less is more. And sometimes it is. But I'll be honest, when it comes to junk journaling, mixed media pieces, and in particular messy art or messy May, I really feel like there is no less is more. More is more. So I just keep going until it feels done. Now, I do love texture, as I mentioned yesterday, and so these Sennelier Abstract acrylic liners are really fun for adding another layer of definition. They are more three-dimensional. These are the 3D art liners. I will leave actually a link to all the products that I use, any discount codes I may have in the comments section, so you can have a little look at that. I did create a free PDF actually of all the items I use and the links to where to get them. But these are really great actually for adding a bit of texture. They do dry, three-dimensional as well. And yeah, it's just a good way to finish a piece off. It is where I start to feel like we're nearly done. I'm just going to add a couple more dots here and there. And then it felt complete. All right, here it is in all its glory. Nourish your soul with art is what inspired me from the word nourish. And I've tried to make sure that the colours sort of work well next to the previous prompt of prologue. I do love the textures that have come about on this. I love the way the pastels look different next to the acrylic and the watercolor, and I feel like the colors work well together across the two spreads. Really happy with how this came out. 2 days down. So I actually am at the end of a creative day, so I'm covered in paint, but next setup is going to be enchanted and then blooming. So what I'm thinking is, again, I try to pick colors that work well together on each page. Each page is specifically a different topic. However, I still want the spreads to kind of be cohesive. So I am thinking about my colors when I do things. So on this one, Enchanted, I'm thinking like Enchanted Fairy Garden. And then because blooming is the next day, I'm thinking I'm going to do the spread into both. We'll see. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you tomorrow.